up to 3 toppings, and they'll stuff the crust with gooey, melty, delicious cheese. Order now at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
We recap Lakers, Jazz, and all that went down tonight.
Lakers basketball is a final.
877-710 ESPN.
It's the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show.
Tipping off now.
Now, here's Allen Sliwa.
111-97, the final score. Jazz over the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers now 35-23 on the season. Utah sitting at 43-15. Best record in the Western Conference. Lakers slotted right at number 5. We'll see if they can hold on there. There are a few storylines we could take away from this game. I mentioned Lakers at one point were down 25. Never had a lead in this game. Give Utah credit. You could tell Utah certainly had something in one of those games where they thought, okay, we're going to play this Lakers team 2 games in a row. We didn't have Gobert. We didn't have Mike Conley. They were going to come out and play a little bit different, take advantage of the shorthanded Lakers. And I could sit here. I could talk about how you need more from Andre Drummond. You need more from your bench. THT had 24 points. Other than THT, you need more from your bench. But the reality is, I think what I'm getting most excited for on this Lakers team, or with this Lakers team in this roster right now, is hopefully these role players can go back to being role players, and hopefully that day is coming soon. Anthony Davis could be back as soon as Thursday. Maybe it's Saturday, and Lakers take on the Mavs, and we know where Dallas is in the NBA standings. We know how key those 2 games are. Dallas, luckily for the Lakers, a 4-game cushion now, 3 in the loss column against the Dallas Mavericks. You don't want to fall into that 7th spot. If it happens, it happens. But I think the Lakers went through the toughest part of the schedule. So when I say I want those role players to go back to being role players, they've stepped up. They've done everything they can for the Lakers. No LeBron James, no Anthony Davis. LBJ's been out since March 20th. Anthony Davis been out since February 14th. So you're asking guys every single night to step up their game, not for a game or two, for a big part of the season. And I say that because guys like Andre Drummond, guys like Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, KCP, all of them will be more effective when LeBron and AD come back, when it becomes normal for them to be the role players that they were set up to be on this Lakers team. And nobody's made any excuses, which has been a great thing. And, Coach certainly hasn't made excuses throughout the process of, without the Lakers stars. But I think to be sitting at 35-23 right now, okay, you split these 2 against the Utah Jazz. Lakers have pretty much the entire month won 1, lost 1, won 1, lost 1, and that's how it's gone. And if you're walking away from April with an above 500 record under the circumstances, with the schedule that the Lakers had, it's a good month. And that's the position that the Lakers are sitting in right now. Before we go to Lakers head coach Frank Vogel, a couple things real quick. 111-97, the final score. If you want to be a part of the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show, 877-710 ESPN. Quick shout out and a thank you to Coors Seltzer. You can now stream this show on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook Live. That's what we're doing right now, so we appreciate their partnership. Coors Seltzer makes volunteering easy because each 12-pack helps restore 500 gallons of river water. Drink a Coors Hard Seltzer and help save a river. Celebrate responsibly. On obviously 710 ESPN, but also on our streaming services as well. Lakers head coach Frank Vogel, let's get his thoughts. Lakers lose 111-97 to the Utah Jazz. Here's Coach's thoughts on the Lakers loss.
Hey, Frank, you said before the game how different you expected this one to be from Saturdays, just with Gobert and Favors back and returning to their style of play. How did you feel like you responded tonight?
Pretty poorly. We had a poor performance, particularly on the offensive end, but defensively not great or not good enough either. And, it's just one of those games we played really well the other night, in a difficult situation, not knowing who's going to be in the lineup and whatnot. And, didn't play as well tonight.
Frank, with the way Utah plays offensively, how much do you adjust your typical defensive principles, if at all, to kind of account for their shooting plus the hard rolls to the rim? And how did you see that play out tonight, even though you just explained it, but just wondering how the principles are supposed to be?
Yeah, I mean, we still have, we still stay within our scheme. Certain players we want to do certain things on. And, these guys are as good as anyone in the league with the redrive offense. They're patient. They look for great shots at the rim or great shots at the perimeter if they don't have it. they work the possession until they get it. And, that's why their record is what it is. And, obviously we weren't good enough tonight.
Dave.
Frank, Andre had one of maybe his strongest performance as a Laker the other night with no Gobert in there. How do you feel like Gobert affected his personal performance tonight?
Well, Gobert is a difference maker. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. But I still thought Drum had some really good looks inside. I thought he used his power effectively against him, just misses some shots that he didn't normally makes. But Rudy Gobert is a difference maker for these guys.
Dan.
Frank, we're watching Montrez right now on the court get extra work. He hasn't really been in a great rhythm to our eyes, at least, or to my eyes in the last 7 or 8 games. Is there anything you're seeing with him, and is there anything you guys can do to try to get his bench production back up?
Yeah, we're evolving, as a team, and we're working new guys in, and the roles are changing slightly. We want to continue to make sure, Trez is getting the ball in positions to score. Where he's at his best. He's had some good performances tonight. Our ball handlers didn't deliver the ball to him, in position where he can make something happen. Credit Utah's defense for the way they were playing, and they really took our pick and roll game out of the game tonight. That's what limited Trez.
And just a quick follow up. How is Schroeder? It seemed like there was a play where he went down. I mean, it feels like every game it's something new with him. Where he's grabbing at his back. He was able to stay in the game, obviously, but I was just curious if you heard anything on him.
Yeah, the training staff did not report anything. He played through it, and he's good to go.
Well,
Frank, I know Mark is dealing with the hamstring, but were that not the case, is this a matchup where you would see using him some?
Yeah, I do think Mark could have an impact in a matchup like this. Yes.
Kyle.
Hey, Frank, I know we were talking a little bit about it in relation to AD, but, it's 2 days off in this season are so rare. How do you plan on using those days? Is it rest? Is it practice? Where are you at with that?
Yeah, our guys are pretty worn down, and, we typically take a 2-day stretch throughout any point in the season and be off on the first day and practice the second day, and that's what we're doing here.
All right, that's Lakers head coach Frank Vogel. A couple things that he hit on. We could get at this after the break, but one of the things he talked about, just the poor performance on offense. Felt like the team, obviously, the way they played on Saturday, much different than they played in tonight's game, and we know the reasons for that. Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, such key pieces to this Utah Jazz team. Once they were going to get those players back, you're going to have to play damn near perfect basketball if you're going to beat the Jazz. I know we got a couple calls on hold. Let's do this. When we come back, we'll take your phone calls, 877-710-ESPN. Coach talked about Andre Drummond and very, I guess you could say, talked about his performance, the difference between Andre Drummond when Rudy Gobert comes back. Of course, that had an impact on tonight's game. But I want to spend a little time on Andre Drummond because, I saw some stuff today where you kind of try to throw the ball down to him a couple times. You want him to kind of set up the offense in a couple occasions where you could throw it down to him and kind of flow things through him. That's obviously not going to be his strength. And that's why when Andre Drummond is playing with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, the game is going to be so incredibly easy for him because the Lakers are not going to ask him to do that. And frankly, those are not his strengths. So we'll talk about that coming up next. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show on 710 ESPN.
Afternoons just got a little better on 710.
There's no stopping.
Give it to me one more time because I couldn't get my unit to work. That's what she said too.
Get your unit to work. LZ Granderson. By the way, I'm so proud of LZ.
I can get a slice of pizza.
And welcoming Scott Kaplan.
LZ, do you think Cap's got moves? Good ones.
The bigger, better afternoon show now. Afternoons, 3:55 p.m.
After Mason and Ireland on 710 ESPN.
We didn't invent the first crust, but we did invent the crust you eat. Crust first. The one and only original stuffed crust. Only from Pizza Hut. Just $11.99. No one outpizzas the Hut.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Hey, Laker fans, it's Travis. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 5 a.m., we're going to break down everything from the Lakers game. We're going to tell you who played well, what went right, all of it starting at 5 o'clock right here on 710 ESPN. Get up.
This is a Lakers town.
It's an incredible fan base, and there's nothing like it.
And nobody covers the Lakers better than Allen Sliwa on Lakers Talk.
And the Lakers are as positioned right now to go back-to-back with LeBron James and Anthony Davis as good as any other team in the league.
All the latest news surrounding the purple and gold. Hear Lakers Talk Monday at 7 p.m. on the ESPN app or anytime wherever you get your podcast. This is the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show.
Highlights from tonight's Lakers game and your reaction on the Lakers line. Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
The one and only original stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. Get a large with up to 3 toppings, and they'll stuff the crust with gooey, melty, delicious cheese. Order now at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Hi, this is Anthony Davis of your Los Angeles Lakers.
Hi, it's LeBron. The Lakers play here.
It's time for Lakers postgame with Sliwa.
Now, here's Allen Sliwa.
Clarkson moving right, picks up his dribble, got it to O'Neal, threw it away. O'Neal stolen by KCP. Down the middle to Kuzma. Right side, Caruso for 3. Good. Back-to-back threes by the Lakers, and it's a 5-point game. 20-15 Utah.
Jazz over the Lakers, 111-97. The final score. The defensive play of the game is brought to you by Adriana's Insurance. Win and save on your auto insurance, and only Adriana's Insurance can guarantee it. We give you more options, unique offers, and exclusive opportunities to get the coverage you need at the best price. Visit SaveWithAdrianas.com today. Adriana's Insurance. More options, no contracts, just savings. Andre Drummond here in just a second. We'll get a chance to hear from Andre Drummond on the Lakers' loss. But it's something I noticed in the game, and this isn't – I really don't think this is earth-shattering or news-breaking or something. When you throw the ball into Andre Drummond, and I just look at his skill set, and Michael and I talked a little bit about this in the pregame show, that where Andre Drummond is going to excel, it's not when the stars are not there and you have to throw it down to him. I'm not saying he's, his offensive skill set is, there's strengths that he has. I definitely don't think one of those strengths are going to be him going up against Gobert one-on-one. Now, he's a bully ball type of guy. He's a power type of player. But when LeBron and Anthony Davis aren't in the lineup, it's obviously going to be completely different when he gets the ball thrown down low into him. What will be exciting and why I thought in that buyout market Andre Drummond was going to be so key, you can't double him. That attention's got to go to Anthony Davis because his skill set down low is arguably the best big man in the NBA when it comes to the full package. LeBron can go screen and roll with him and throw some of those lobs that actually had a couple Lakers trying to throw lobs to him earlier today. I think THT threw one up to him. KCP threw one up to him. So when you look at Andre Drummond's stat line in a game like this tonight against the Jazz, it's obviously easy to say, well, Drummond's got to deliver more. 8 points, 8 rebounds, 3 of 12 from the field. The beauty with Drummond is once those two players come back, he'll be the 3rd, 4th, 5th option sometimes, and he'll get you 12 and 12 a night simply because there's attention on other players. Here's Andre Drummond on the Lakers' loss to the Jazz.
Hey, Andre, I expected a bit of a difference in terms of just Gobert and Favors back and clogging up the paint. How did you guys see that play out, and how did you think you responded?
I think we started off really slow this game. Probably just a little bit of heavy legs from the last game being the OT. Dominated fresh, so they had a lot of energy. I think for us personally, I think we like that because it's hard to fight back from games like that.
Yeah, what did you think as you try to make comeback attempts? This one, as we just talked about the defense.
Shots just weren't falling for us. The shots we normally make, they were just rimming in and out. Myself especially, shots that I normally make were just, going in and out of the hoop and, just careless mistakes with turnovers too down the stretch of the game that allowed them to, start clicking all cylinders on both ends of the court.
Kyle? Hey, Andre. What's up? Just wondering, when you're going through a game like this and there are obviously LeBron and AD are kind of waiting to potentially be in that matchup later this year. Are you already kind of thinking about what that would look like? What might be different if you see these guys again in the postseason?
Honestly, I think for me personally, I'm just worried about the guys that are playing right now. Obviously, yes, I'm looking forward to playing with those two guys when they come back healthy. But the only thing I can control right now is the guys that step on the floor as of right now, and they're doing a hell of a job of holding the floor down until they come back. Despite the game tonight, I think we're doing a hell of a job of playing well together.
Dave? Andre, you're coming off probably your strongest performance as a Laker the other night against a Jazz team that didn't have Gobert. How did his presence affect your performance tonight?
It didn't. I missed shot. That's really what it boils down to. I mean, obviously he's a great player, and he's a great defensive player as well, too, and he's able to alter people's shots, including mine. His presence in the paint is always felt, but, that doesn't stop me from trying to take it to him each and every time.
Bill?
Andre, do you think, or what kind of matchup do you think you and AD as kind of a tandem would present against Gobert in a playoff series?
I have no idea. I have no idea, but I'm looking forward to being on the same court as him. I've played with AD for many years, with USA Basketball, so the experience is there. I'm looking forward to being back on the court with him again. I think he should be back very soon, so very excited to, start that bond together on the court.
Dan? Andre, what's it been like joining this team and having to play a certain style, but it also kind of in the back of your mind knowing that, everything's going to be really different, too, at a certain point. Like you said, once AD's back, once LeBron's after that. What's that been like, and are you going to have to get used to something all over again once those guys come back?
I'm still here. I think I heard him know. To answer your question, definitely my role here is a lot different than I've been on. Me being on Cleveland and Detroit, they look for me to, be the main guy to score points and do all the other intangible things. And while I'm here, I'm here to just make this team, good on both ends of the court. Whatever they need me to do, I'm trying to get the job done. I'm adjusting very well. It's taking some time, but I'm figuring it out day in and day out. Defensively, we're starting to get it together. Offensively, I'm starting to find the shots that I normally take. Now it's just getting my legs under me. I've been out for the past month and a half, so it's trying to get that game legs together. So a few more games, I'll be fine. AD and LeBron coming back soon, and just that chemistry will start to build up more.
This is going to continue to be the conversation with the Lakers, and it's I don't think we can go a post-game interview, whether it's reporters asking coach or it's just brought up naturally, whatever the case is. LeBron and AD. Okay, well, when they come back, and I thought Drummond said something interesting there. Drummond hadn't played since February 12th before the buyout market commits to the Lakers, then played, I think it was 12 minutes in that first game, 14 minutes in that first game against the Bucks, and then he was out. So we forget that Drummond's kind of starting to try to get back into some kind of a rhythm as well. And I think for where we are as far as this point of the season, so LeBron, Anthony Davis, let's say that by May 1st or maybe a week into May 1st, everybody's back, everybody's healthy. You got 9 games in May before the playoffs start. You're trying to avoid that play-in tournament, even though I've heard some people say it might not be a bad thing just to get an extra game in together. But let's say the Lakers obviously avoid it. They got a good lead right now on the Dallas Mavericks. Lakers sitting in 5th place. This is going to be, I think, a critical 30 days for the Lakers. And I say that before the playoffs even start, just so they can all feel good. Okay, timing is right. This player, his conditioning is ready for the postseason, and that's really where the Lakers are at this point. 111-97, the final score. Kuzma had a nice game tonight. Kuzma ended up with 17 points, shot 8 of 13 from the field. What I'm referring to there, offensively, he had a nice night, very efficient night. Let's hear from Kuz when we come back. We appreciate you guys tuning in. This is the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show on 710 ESPN.
Afternoons just got a little better on 710.
George Sedano.
Give it to me one more time, because I couldn't get my unit to work. That's what she said, too.
Couldn't get your unit to work? LZ Granderson. By the way, I am so proud of LZ.
I can get a slice of pizza.
And welcoming Scott Kaplan.
LZ, do you think Cap's got moves?
Good ones?
The bigger, better afternoon show now. Afternoons, 3:55 p.m.
After Mason and Ireland on 710 ESPN.
We didn't invent the first crust, but we did invent the crust you eat. Crust first, the one and only original stuffed crust, only from Pizza Hut. Just $11.99. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Hey, Laker fans, it's Travis. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 5 a.m., we're going to break down everything from the Lakers game. We're going to tell you who played well, what went right, all of it starting at 5 o'clock right here on 710 ESPN. Get up.
This is a Lakers town.
It's an incredible fan base, and there's nothing like it.
And nobody covers the Lakers better than Allen Sliwa on Lakers Talk.
And the Lakers are as positioned right now to go back-to-back with LeBron James and Anthony Davis as good as any other team in the league.
All the latest news surrounding the purple and gold. Hear Lakers Talk Monday at 7 p.m. on the ESPN app or anytime wherever you get your podcast.
$877.
The Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show.
Highlights from tonight's Lakers game and your reaction on the Lakers line. Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
The one and only original stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. Get a large with up to 3 toppings, and they'll stuff the crust with gooey, melty, delicious cheese. Order now at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Hi, this is Anthony Davis of your Los Angeles Lakers.
Hi, it's LeBron.
It's time for Lakers postgame with Sliwa.
Now, here's Allen Sliwa.
111-97 the final score. Jazz over the Lakers, 43-15 on the season. Lakers 35-23. Points in the Paint all season long is sponsored by Vista Paint. Right now, local residents can take 40% off on factory direct high-quality Vista Paint products. A Vista Paint team member will show you how. Locally owned, manufactured, and operated since 1956, Vista Paint. Jazz win the game. They win the points in the paint battle, 52-36. Let me grab a quick call here. Scooter in L.A. Scooter, what's going on? Thank you for calling in.
Hey, Alan, how you doing?
Good, man. Appreciate you being a part of the show. What do you think tonight?
Well, we got a split, man. That's the best we can expect. We didn't think we would go down there and beat them twice, but the thing is, we got to get Dallas. The next 2 games are going to be kind of critical for the Lakers because if they can win both of those games, they can put some space between them and Dallas and work on trying to catch Denver. Because Denver, with Murray being out, they might be able to catch them and get the 4th seed and get the home court advantage come the playoffs.
Scooter, appreciate you calling in. I'm with you on the split, right? I think that's the key there. I mean, honestly, you walk away against a Utah Jazz, they win one, you win one, you feel good about that. The world's not going to end. I think you actually feel good about that predicament, that situation. But I thought Scooter said something interesting. Going into the series against Dallas, expectations are going to change once, obviously, Anthony Davis comes back. But what I will say is, looking at that Western Conference right now, the Denver Nuggets not really losing much ground. They have a 2.5 game lead on the Lakers, so, of course, what are their chances going to be now without Jamal Murray? They were, in my opinion, they had a chance to come out of the West. They had a chance to face the Lakers, let's say, as an example, and have a strong series against the Lakers. Well, that's not going to happen anymore with Jamal Murray out. So this series coming up against the Dallas Mavericks, yes, it's a key series. This might be another one. You split these next 2 games against the Dallas Mavericks, you already have a 4-game cushion on them. LeBron and Anthony Davis are on their way back over, hopefully AD within the next couple of days. LeBron hopefully within the next week or 2. So I don't worry too much about the standings, but if you had an ideal situation, yeah, it'd be nice. You get in that 4th slot, you get home court in the first round, But now you have some work to, obviously make up here with the way Denver's been playing. Kuzma, I mentioned 8 of 13 from the field, 17 points. Kuzma's thoughts on the Lakers' loss to the Jazz?
Kyle, the game kind of got away from you guys. Looked like that third quarter, they started hitting a bunch of their threes, kind of started doing the stuff that Utah has been doing the whole season. What did you see about their offense, and what was kind of the undoing for you guys in that second half?
I think we kind of gave in a little bit. I think on the offensive end, Josh really didn't fall a little bit, and a couple bad possessions just led to a lack of effort on the defensive end a little bit. Guys getting open threes, Rudy getting a couple of dunks, guys getting downhill a little bit easier. We tried to go to a zone, and we had a little success with the zone, but it just wasn't enough. They still hit threes, had great execution while we went zone, and didn't really go too well for us.
Kyle, if this is indeed your last game without Anthony Davis, what can he bring to you guys if indeed he does play Thursday or even Saturday?
Has better play. It's been about 2-3 months, so hopefully he's ready to go. Obviously, we miss him a lot out there, and having him out there is going to be really good for us because I think it allows certain guys, fall in line a little bit more, as a whole. We can all get back to a little bit of a role and, play around him a little bit. Obviously, he's going to get his feet back wet, but it's going to allow us to, look a little better, I think. So,
thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
All right, let's go to Dan.
Hey, Kuz, sorry about that. I had to tweet out another just terrific quote. Thank you. You guys haven't played Utah with your full complement of players yet. Obviously, they're missing Donovan these last two games. Do you have any sense or feel for what it might be like if you see these guys down the road?
They're a great ball club. They're a team that they do an excellent job of just playing together, playing with a sense of togetherness on both sides of the floor. They try to take away the three and funnel everything to Rudy down low, which is, a pretty good defensive scheme. And then on top of that, offensively, they do a great job of ball movement and, just drive and kick basketball. It makes it tough to guard. Obviously we haven't had our whole team, and, things look a little bit different out there when AD slides to that 5. So, we've had success last year going back with those guys when we were healthy, but it's a different year, so we'll see how it goes. I'm sure we'll meet up with them, in the future.
Algoon?
Hey, Kuz, you've alluded to it enough about what the matchups would look like, or what the team would look like with AD. How much of the closing minutes of a game like this are you thinking maybe on the bench, like, man, when we get AD and LeBron back, it's going to look like this? Are there games now where you're allowing yourself to think about what that kind of looks like when you're healthy?
Yeah, I always kind of look at the game, after that championship run. I kind of always look at the game from a playoff mentality standpoint. How matchups work, how lineups work. And it's going to be a little bit different. We don't really know what a closing lineup is for us this year at all. Obviously, it's going to be, usually AD and Bron, and then just, whoever's really hot, whoever's shooting, whoever's defending, 3 guards, whatever. So, it's hard to really look at that now, but, we kind of know the formula of, what we want to get to with a healthy closing lineup. But, that remains to be seen so far this year with, not a lot of playing time and really cohesiveness and, a consistent closing lineup, even when those guys were healthy. We shuffled in and out, testing things. So.
Cruz, that's pretty interesting. So is that something that concerns you at all, or is something that you guys have spoken about in the locker room, the closing lineup aspect? And is there some recognition that there's only going to be a short amount of regular season games to continue to test it before, the games really, really matter?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what we do. I think from the standpoint of not having Brian and AD out there for extended time, obviously we've had a little bit of a closing lineup we've had during this stretch, but that all really goes out the window when those two guys are back and healthy. So, it's going to be some tough decisions. It's going to be people that's playing well right now, playing a lot of minutes that those minutes get shifted. Just from the dynamic of having those two great players out there. So, the best thing I can say is, it's all about, at the end of the day, getting to the playoffs and sacrifice, that's just how you win championships. And that's how you make things work, especially playing with these great players. So, it'll be interesting.
And the last question, please. Let's go to Bill.
Hey, Kyle, kind of along those lines, but 14 games left now. We don't know when you will have LeBron and AD at full strength again. Is there any concern on your part or within the locker room that just isn't going to be enough time to get everything clicking the way you would want it to be going into the postseason and to defend a championship?
No, not really. I think last year we had 8 games to figure it out. Won a championship. So, speaking of the bubble, but, I don't really think that there's too many concerns. I think if there was one is, guys learning how to play with AD more, understanding his game and where he likes his spots and where to be on the court when he has the ball. That's something that is going to be huge for us because this year we haven't really had to, really deal with that too much with him, missing so many games. But, I think that's just the biggest thing, guys learning how to play with Anthony Davis out there because, Bron's easy. It's easy to play with him. He makes the game easier for everyone. Floor general. And, don't really have to speak too much on that. We all know how it is to play with him. But, learning how to play with AD, so different. We all have to figure it out and buy in and sacrifice and, get the job done eventually when the time comes. So.
All right, that's Kyle Kuzma right there. Lakers lose to the Utah Jazz 111-97. When we come back, let's start previewing the Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks. Plus, we'll get a chance to hear from KCP. KCP in tonight's game ended up with 15 points. Him and Dennis Schroeder both with 15 each. KCP coming up next. If you want to be a part of the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show, 877-710 ESPN. This is the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show on 710.
If you didn't
Afternoons just got a little better on 710.
George Sedano.
Give it to me one more time, because I couldn't get my unit to work. That's what she said,
Couldn't
too.
get your unit to work? LZ Granderson. By the way, I am so proud of LZ.
I can get a slice of pizza.
And welcoming Scott Kaplan.
LZ, do you think Cap's got moves?
Good ones?
The bigger, better afternoon show now. Afternoons, 3:55 p.m.
After Mason and Ireland on 710 ESPN.
We didn't invent the first crust, but we did invent the crust you eat. Crust first. The one and only original stuffed crust. Only from Pizza Hut. Just $11.99. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Hey, Laker fans, it's Travis. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 5 a.m., we're going to break down everything from the Lakers game. We're going to tell you who played well, what went right, all of it starting at 5 o'clock right here on 710 ESPN. Get up.
This is a Lakers town.
It's an incredible fan base, and there's nothing like it.
And nobody covers the Lakers better than Allen Sliwa on Lakers Talk.
And the Lakers are as positioned right now to go back-to-back with LeBron James and Anthony Davis as good as any other team in the league.
All the latest news surrounding the purple and gold. Hear Lakers Talk Monday at 7 p.m. on the ESPN you get your podcast. Lakers postgame show.
Highlights from tonight's Lakers game and your reaction on the Lakers line. The world champion Los Angeles Lakers on 710 ESPN. Your home for championship radio.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
The one and only original stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. Get a large with up to 3 toppings, and they'll stuff the crust with gooey, melty, delicious cheese. Order now at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Once again, here's Allen Sliwa.
Next up for the Lakers, the Dallas Mavericks. So that game's on Thursday. Doesn't happen too often where Lakers get a couple nights off. They'll have tomorrow and Wednesday off, and then they'll come back against the Dallas Mavericks. This will be a 4-game road trip for the Lakers, and then they'll come back to Staples Center and try to take care of business in the final game of the month of April. So a couple things here on this game with the Dallas Mavericks. And Dallas is – I don't really know how to assess the Mavericks here. Just when they start winning games and you think, okay, you know what? They're going to start taking control. Maybe they're going to fight for that battle for that 6th spot. Maybe they'll even have a chance at the 5th spot. Still sitting at 7th, 30-26. They've lost their last 2 games, lost to the Knicks at home. Okay, you could say, all right, the Knicks are a pretty good team. Knicks have been playing good basketball. They're obviously a playoff team. But then they lose yesterday to the Sacramento Kings. Kings had lost 9 games in a row. And nobody's obviously talking about the Sacramento Kings. They're not playing good basketball. Sacramento is 23-34. So I really don't know how to assess the Dallas Mavericks. I see Dallas against big games or against good teams in big games coming through, making it a challenge. We saw Luka Doncic a couple games ago hit that buzzer beater against the Memphis Grizzlies. And I just don't know how to assess them. We know Luka's the man, 28 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists a game. But it's all those other players, and maybe we gave the Dallas Mavericks too much credit. Maybe their stock was too high coming into the season, but they have not, in my opinion, lived up to expectations. I thought they'd be a top 5 seed in the West, maybe top 6. I know you could say, well, they're only in 7th, but they're also just a game back of Memphis for falling to the 8th spot. So there's no guarantee that they're going to stay in the 7th spot. KCP on the Lakers, lost to the Utah Jazz, 111-97. Here's Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Hey, Kenny, you guys knew this was going to be a different game from Saturday with the players that Utah had coming back. What was the difficult part in adjusting, especially early, that you guys felt like you didn't do as you might typically?
We didn't get stops when we needed them. I feel like they had a lot of clean, open threes. You know, they had a scrambling their whole first half, and that kind of like took us out of rhythm defensively. You know, being in help situation a lot and not containing our man. I feel like that was throughout the whole game.
What's the focus for you with a team like Utah, where you have help principles, but they have a lot of shooters on the perimeter that you have to kind of get out to, and how do you navigate that challenge?
We just gotta we had to be a little more physical. Two mans that's on the ball, the one that's guarding the ball, and then our big that comes up. If Rudy comes up, set a pink. We got to try to handle that, with 2-on-2, instead of being out of in help rotation when they got 3-point shooters around them like that.
And then, what do you think the biggest key is to the rhythm that you found these last several weeks, KCP?
Just being aggressive. I talk to coach. We talk every day. That's the one word it's consistent. With our conversations, just be aggressive. Also, just shooting when I have the time to shoot when we do practice. And just being ready, hunting shots out there. Not passing up too many. Just trying to stay in a good rhythm.
Bill.
Hey, KCP. There's 14 games left in the regular season, and you guys are hopefully getting AD back this week, but then LeBron at some point beyond that, you need to reintegrate them. They need to get comfortable with Drummond. It just seems like a lot to do in a relatively short period of time. What's your guys' confidence level that, you're going to be able to be where you need to be by the time the first round of the playoffs get here?
Our confidence is high. we get Bron and AD back, they two guys, our best players on the team, they great leaders. Bron have been in situations, where he had to overcome. He knows what it takes, how to prepare, his team, to be ready for that. And I don't think it'll be, as hard, when them guys come back to try to get that chemistry going. I feel like we just, like we always do, just roll with the punches. Just throw them in the lineup, and we figure it out as we go. And like I said, Bron and AD, with them on the floor and they coming back, it's not going to take that long to build that chemistry.
KCP, Kuz spoke to us and mentioned the fact that, hey, when you guys are fully healthy with this group, he doesn't know what the closing lineup looks like. Do you have an idea of what it should look like? And is that a challenge for everybody involved, coaching staff, players, to figure out before the playoffs begin in the middle of next month?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. I just feel like, I don't know what's the closing lineup going to be when everybody's healthy. But I feel like no matter who's in the lineup at the end of the game, I feel like we're going to close it out anyways with the group coming back healthy. So I feel like, just we just got to be not worried about that. I feel like who's in the game at that time. We right now we're trying to win games. We're trying to stay out of that play-in playoff thing, wherever it is. And we just trying to get another championship.
Kyle?
Hey, KCP, another thing that Kuz brought up is that it's going to be a bit of a challenge. I guess he meant for the newer guys to just get a rhythm with AD because AD has been in and out so much. Do you see this opportunity before LeBron gets back to help build that up? And what is unique about AD's game that makes him a guy you have to adjust to?
I feel like when AD's come back, either one that comes back, I feel like, the adjustment is going to be, kind of slow at first. But I feel like we'll adjust quickly. AD is a great passer out of the post. He looks for that, set screens, to either get himself open or get the mismatch, and that creates a problem for the defense, and then that's how, that's when the team's in rotation. And then AD's finding shooters. Bron is always, looking for the pass and when he posts up. So I feel like it's going to be a little slow at first, but I feel like everybody just catch on quickly.
We'll take a couple more. Dan? KCP, I have kind of a non-game related question for you. Earlier today, Nike announced that the Kobe Bryant's contract had expired with them, and there's no real guarantee that you're going to see a Nike shoe with his name on it again, I guess. You have worn Kobe's a lot in your career. What's your reaction to that? And I guess, what are you going to do with the pairs you have now, knowing that there might not be any more?
First of all, I'm going to try to get a couple more pairs, before they stop selling them or whatever, Nike stop, doing whatever. But the reaction that I had was, I was shocked. I didn't think that would happen. I think they would continue to make shoes, but I don't know anything behind that. As far as I saw it, and I was just a little shocked.
Last question, Amanda Skurlock.
Hey, KCP. Talk to me about the development of Traylon Horton Tucker. He's been getting he's scoring in the double digits throughout the month of April.
He's growing every day. The kid, he can score the ball. He's showing a little bit that he can defend. Still got to get him get his motor up on the defensive end. To stay with the game plan. But he's been learning. and then applying it to games every day. When we have practice, just talking to the veteran guys. He's like a sponge, and he's really applying it to his game, and we love it. Last year we threw him in the fire, and he showed what he could do, and he's just continued to grow since then.
All right, that's KCP right there. Lakers lose to the Jazz 111-97. So a couple quick plugs here. Tomorrow, I will have Lakers Talk 7 to 9 p.m. You guys can obviously tune in also starting at 5 a.m. Keyshawn, J. Will, Zubin, and Travis. So we'll start all our local coverage starting at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Lakers Talk 7 to 9 p. Quick thank you to Rebecca Womble, Laura Roma Lopez, and Jesse Lopez here in our studios. For those who are listening on 710 ESPN or listening on our all our streaming services, we greatly appreciate it. Our next broadcast, 5 p.m. Thursday in Dallas, will be the pregame show. 6:30 will be tip-off. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Allen Sliwa. This is the Pizza Hut Lakers postgame show on 710 ESPN.
Thank you for listening to Lakers basketball tonight. Game 58 of the season is in the books.
Lakers basketball on ESPN LA is sponsored by Subaru of Glendale, the #1 Subaru dealer in America. Lakers basketball.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
The one and only original stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. Get a large with up to 3 toppings, and they'll stuff the crust with gooey, melty, delicious cheese. Order now at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Lakers basketball on 710 ESPN is brought to you by Dignity Health, where the well-being of patients is always the priority. Learn more at dignityhealth.org/SoCal.
Lakers basketball is presented by Albertsons and Vons. Team up with Albertsons and Vons for the win. Get all your game day favorites delivered right to your door with Albertsons or Vons.com. It's just better.
Coming up for the champs, Thursday night in